One of the biggest massacres in Lebanon was known as the Massacre of the Moor. And that was done by the Palestinians and the Muslims against the Christians simply because of their religion. They used to walk into the bomb shelters. They used to find a mother and a father hiding with a little baby, a family. They would take the baby, tie one leg of the baby to the mother and another leg to the father, and split the parents apart, splitting the child in half. They used to walk into our churches and urinate and defecate on the altar using the Bible as toilet paper. The last lady that worked for me was mentally disturbed because they walked into her bomb shelter where she was hiding with her family. They took her only child, her son, 16 years old, tied him on her lap. They tied her to a chair, held a knife to her hand, and forced her to behead her own son's throat, and then raped her daughters repeatedly in front of her.
According to the book of Revelation, John saw Jesus and described him as having hair like wool and feet the color of burned brass. Yeah, he's a brother.
It was your bright idea to send those idiots to the moon. And now my approval ratings are in the toilet. The election is just weak. Now I need a miracle. Get me a miracle!
Hey, listen, point values are double on this one right here, so this could get you right back in it. We surveyed 100 people. We got the top 6 answers on the board. Try to get the most popular answer. You ready? Here we go. Name a celebrity who has a big mouth and is not afraid to use it. Daryl.
Steve Harvey.
How you keep that show moving. Just keep coming up with what you think is a good ass question.
What あの大勢の人たちはどこ行ったんだ。みんなどこに逃げたんだ。海の底さ。来たよ。あの赤いのは239。あれを吸い込むと1000万分の1グラムでもがんになる。黄色いのはストロンチウム90。あれが体の中に入ると骨髄にたまり白血病になる。紫色のはセシウム137。生殖腺に集まり遺伝子が突然変異を起こす。
unless you're a member of that corporation, you're really not obliged to follow any of those rules or codes because there is no contract between you, the living soul, and them, the corporation. And to operate in commerce, you have to have that corporate title, your name all raised in capital letters. Every kind of license they issue is always done in the full capitals, which is actually not you, the living soul. It's the fiction that was created for you without your consent and without your permission.
And today, we have this monstrosity of a healthcare plan. And it is not whether it's right or left, it's just wrong. It will not prevent any disease. For over 10 years, the number one reason for bankruptcy was our healthcare bills. Now, how in the world can you have 90 million people who are at risk of Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, inflammatory conditions, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and no one is doing anything to prevent this at all because they're not paid to prevent your disease, they're rewarded for profiteering off your disease. That is a nation of medical parasites.
Same example on the other side, the swine flu vaccine. The government's plan was it bought up for $6.4 billion the entire output of 5 drug companies. And in order to stretch the supply, because the government wanted everybody to get the swine flu vaccine, it was going to start to adjuvant it with something called squalene, which is quite deadly when injected. Imagine in 90,000 locations around the country, they're going to be mixing the vaccine with the squalene and injecting it to people in cafeterias and town halls and whatever. That was the plan. Sebelius said that her own scientists wouldn't sign off on using that adjuvant.
Most people don't realize that Monsanto's been around for about a century.
The governments now, wherever they are dependent on corporations, telling people what to do, what to eat, what to feed their children.
85% of all the genetically engineered crops in this country and around the world are designed so you can soak them with weed killers, toxic herbicides. And who are the big companies that do this? Come on, you know who they are. Monsanto, anybody, what? Who else? DuPont, Dow Chemical, Syngenta, Bayer. What kind of companies are these? Chemical companies.
They take genetic material, either DNA or RNA, and create an artificial life form, a transgenic species that is impossible to reproduce in nature.
If I see somebody splitting a sandwich in half, and then in a quarter, and then telling us to split that little square in 5 ways, I'm going to want to kill someone.
In the meantime, don't go near this area. South Central Los Angeles at Florence and Normandy.
However, there was 3% of Merrill Lynch, this sort of growth engine managed by a few people that wanted nothing but to make money at all expenses. They didn't care. 10 years ago, the same division, in a different form, bankrupted Orange County. They bankrupted Orange County. People forgot about that in the 90s, and that kind of slid under the rug because it was just Orange County. It was 8 million people, no big deal. Right? It wasn't America.
We do know that Fukushima fallout has impacted the entire United States, and it's gone into the aquifer and it's gone into the ocean.
If it gets into that aquifer system, that means you cannot decontaminate radiation from the drinking water. The people of Japan are not being informed of this.
It will continue to come here as radiation leaks from stricken reactors. It's essentially a tsunami of radiation that's still coming to the United States and will be coming for a long, long time.
The Pacific Current goes north from Japan by Alaska, comes down the coast of Canada and the United States. And it's going to have effect on fish and plankton and whales and all sea life.
For the President of the United States to get on national television and tell the American public not to worry about radiation coming from Fukushima is an abomination, a dereliction of duty that I consider to be the equivalent of murder.